G'day, viewers. Welcome back to the GameDay Squad Rugby League live show. We're on the other side of Magic Round. We're heading into round 11. And of course, I'm joined by my main man here, JT. JT, how is it going, brother?
Justin, man, what a weekend of footy! How good
I
was it?
know. I
It
know.
was it was a pleasure to be over there and meet up with all you boys, and great to sit beside you on the Sunday. Even though my boys went down to your West Tigers, but a great weekend all the same.
Mate, was awesome to meet you. Loved getting stuck into you on Sunday Arvo when the Tigers got up against the Draggies. I was a bit nervous towards the end there, as you could probably tell. But mate, had a class time. Was such a good weekend. What's your highlight from the weekend, JT? If you had to pick one.
Going by the matches, I would say Friday night's game, the Doggies and Raiders, was a great way to start the round, and it was
Yep.
actually a great way to finish the round with the Titans and Eels as well. So, from a footy standpoint, they were the highlighted games for me. But in fantasy terms, it was great to see D. Edwards get back up there with some great numbers. My disappointment would be Cam Murray. I've been scratching my head what to do with him for a while, but
Yep.
he might be sitting on the pine for me this week.
Nah, fair, man. Can't blame you. Can't blame you. Well, we had an awesome week out there. A couple of events with Game Day Squad too, which we should mention is why we are here. Game Day Squad, it's a brand new way to play fantasy footy. You create, you coach, you compete using digital assets, which stand in for the rugby league players that you select in your side each week. We had an awesome event up there with the Talking League crew in at Lefty's Music Hall. Got to speak a bit about GDS, but the best part was just getting around and talking fantasy footy with the guys in the crowd there. Had an awesome time there, JT. You enjoyed a few beers too, man.
Yeah.
It was a good time.
No, absolutely, man. Just a great group of fantasy punters out there, man. It was just chatting fantasy rankings, who would be starting, who would be sitting. We had a few questions from a few punters saying, asking more about GDS that weren't involved as well. So it was great to get that sort of feedback and interest
Yep.
on there. So, yeah, great to be part of it last weekend.
Yeah, man, 100%. Well, we love getting involved with the community, and if you are watching along tonight, give us a shout in the live chat. We'd love to hear from you. Feel free to chip in at any time. But mate, as I said, we're staring down the barrel of round 11, and it's time to talk some team lists. They came out yesterday. So we'll roll through the fixtures quickly. Now, for anyone who's interested, we've actually done a blog on this, just summarising key changes from team lists and things, looking into each game. But we'll rip straight in. JT, Storm taking on the Bronx. They're heading down to Amy Park on Thursday night. How do you think that game's going to pan out? And any takeaways from the team list for you?
Yeah, so Storm will be dark after not really turning up at Suncorp against the Bunnies, so I think they're going to be extremely hard to beat. They'll get their big men, Nass and Welch, going through the middle. Nass
Yep.
to pick up a bit of a niggle in the knee that he injured earlier this season, so he has been named, but he's always going to be a threat. And I think that my prediction of asking extra minutes last week may happen this week because I think they'll need him on the pitch that little bit longer just to help contain those big boys in the middle. Out wide, you haven't really got too many changes for the Broncos or the Storm on that side, but I think it's going to be a battle of the halves. You'll see Money versus Reynolds, and
Yep.
whoever
Yep.
wins the upfront battle in the mids and gets the upper hand in the halves, I think we'll see a winner. But I'm
Yeah.
predicting, I'd say it's a coin flip still for me, but I'll go with the home team on this one.
Yeah, man, I'm back in the Bronx here. I think they're just too red hot at the moment to turn down. But one guy I've got my eye on is Adam Reynolds. Now he's not in my side this week, but coming into this Origin period, I think I'm going to get absolutely gutted because I'm currently running with Cleary and Nico in my halves. So I want to get Reno in there as soon as possible once those two guys are out. So any Reno owners, list them on the TM, and I'll be sure to pick him up off you. But mate, next game on the Friday night, it's the Doggies taking on the Warriors. What do you think about that Doggies team list? Any thoughts?
Uh, I think they're a better team on paper straight off the bat, just because the results that they've had lately, like they got up over the Dragons a couple of weeks ago. They
Yep.
came right back into the picture against the Raiders on Friday night. And the new half, I don't know if I get his pronunciation right. Is it Pakura or something like
Ah,
that?
yeah.
Alapu, sorry, Alapu.
Alapu, yeah.
Yes. He's a great little interchange player there off the bench, and I think he could maybe find some holes in the Warriors' tied defence as it goes on. But for the Warriors, Jackson Ford and Kosi being out will hurt them, especially Jackson Ford as he runs some amazing lines.
Yeah.
And Josh Curran, so does he, but he seems to miss the odd more tackle than Jackson Ford as well. So I think it'll be a tight tussle, but like many of these return fixtures this year, you're seeing the team that lost the first game come back and win the second game. So I'm going to stick with that trend and go with the Doggies to take this one out.
Fair, man. I'm on the other side of the fence here. Back in the Warriors, I'm stoked to see the inclusion of young fella Ronald Volkman. It's a pretty good looking halves combination between him and SJ. And then Adam Fanua-Blake, he's just been on another level recently. So I think they're going to have enough gas in the tank to outmuscle and outclass the Doggies. But moving on, this has probably got to be match of the round, hey? Friday night, Penrith Panthers taking on the Chooks out at Bluebet. How do you see this one shaping up?
I can't wait, mate. The Roosters will be filthy on their performance in the rain. Well, that big, massive downpour at the beginning of the game on Sunday.
Yeah.
And they just, I don't know if that put them off or they just turned up in the wrong mindset, but I definitely didn't see that result happening. And we've had a couple of questionable results, like they got up by 1 point over the Dragons, put 14-0 on the Warriors in Auckland. They just aren't quite clicking at the moment. So I think I'll go with the Panthers unless Robbo really turns it around and gets them clicking this week. I'm a bit surprised to see exactly the same backline for the Roosters and no changes. So sticking with his boys and the inclusion of Billy Smith last week, he was epic. He was electric. Awesome on defence. So he's my player to watch from the Chooks team.
Nah, man, nice. I like it. On the Chook side, I was stoked to see Angus Crichton promoted back into the starting side after Egan Butcher's missing out from his head knock. But Joey Manu back in the mix as well, man. In the centres, how good's he been recently? The fact he's eligible there is such a win. And if you can squeeze him into your team, you've absolutely got to do it. But, mate, I think Penrith are just going to be too good here and expecting a big, big game for Mr. Consistent Isaiah Yeo. But moving on, first game on Saturday, Arvo, it's the Bunnies taking on my Tigers. Now, I'm a little bit nervous for this one, mate. I'm loving
I think you should be, mate. I really think you should be.
Gee, South were red hot over the weekend.
Yeah. The Trowel, he had a bit of a quietish game by all accounts. And he got a bit into the niggle against Munster and Grant. We'd like to see a bit of niggle every now and then, but sometimes it's a little bit over the top. But, yeah, he got a few birds from that Queensland crowd for sure.
Yeah, 100%, man, 100%. On the Tigers side, though, John Bateman's back in. He was a bit of a surprise exclusion last week. Went down with the hamstring, and we were sitting on the sidelines trying to work out why he's in the polo. But fortunately, he's back in the mix. I think other guy that needs a mention here, he's all the talk at Tiger Town at the moment, is Jareen Buller. Now, worth noting, his card isn't in GDS right now, but as soon as it comes in, I think people are going to be desperate to get their hands on him because he looks like a star for the future, man.
I think he is a great dynasty asset when the card comes available, and he does look to be their future. I don't know, you might know a little bit more what's happening in the Laurie situation, but he doesn't seem to be getting a look in at the moment. So, yeah man. With Buller, let's go.
That's it. Now, after that, we've got 14th taken on 16th as the Cows host the Dragons. Now, this one could just go either way, man. Sometimes Cows are so hot. Last week was an example of that where Cotter was just an absolute menace. But then the Dragons just haven't had it lately. I feel like ever since they went down at Anzac Day, they've just, they've been troubled. But how do you see this one faring?
Yeah, I don't really want to speak what I think, just because I've been a Dragons fan, but hey, I take my patch off for this one. But it is a massive game for the Dragons. It has been Hunt's 300th game of first grade, so I think the boys will be getting well up for that. So if they do, they could cause an upset, but I still can't see it. I think Cotter, he just showed his dominance through the middle. He was in the middle of everything and is certainly, I believe, will be in the Origin squad come game one.
Yep.
Just the experience in the halves, a bit more with Dearden and Townsend. Just that combo has been travelling a little bit better, quite a bit better for the Dragons. And there's been like a few rumours this week, a few headliners saying there's a few players wanting to leave the Dragons, etc. So I just don't know if they're in the right headspace at the moment. So I'll be back in the this Cowboys on this one.
Mate, can't blame you. Can't blame you there. I'm 100% on board. Saturday night, though, heading down to Canberra. It's going to be a chilly one out at GIO when the Raiders host the Eels. This is another one. Two teams could go either way. They're so hot and cold at the moment, but when they're on, they're on. And man, I've just got a feeling that Para are going to be on. Dylan Brown has just taken it to a whole nother level in the past couple of weeks. And gee whiz, I think he's a good pickup for your fantasy side. What about the Raiders, man? You like what you see?
Yeah, I'm with you on the Eels narrative here. The Raiders had a good win. They're going to have more rest than the Eels as well. Two more days of rest, so I think that might help being at home. They have been difficult to beat at GIO this year, unless they come up against Panthers. When we all know what happened there. For them, I do like their forward pack with Papali and Tapine going up through the middle. And BA seems to be shuffling around his rotation a bit with Madison, Hopgood, and Junior Paulo. He's a stalwart for that side. So, yeah, I will be going for the Eels in this one. But what I'm really interested to see, and from a fantasy point of view, is what Gutherson does with Moses out.
Yeah,
does he get in the mix there, get a few more receptions off straight out of dummy half, and he might get a few more fantasy points for it. So here's my considerations as a starter this week, actually, for the winger fullback position.
I like that, man. Bit of a smoky, and he's been pretty streaky recently. Yeah. But he can just 3 tries, 100 points.
Yeah,
he can. That's not out of the realm of possibility for Gutho. I think other one I want to call out here just for the Raiders is Corey Horsburgh. A lot of people getting around him, and he could be a smoky inclusion for my side, mate. Big Red plays so passionately, does the grunt work, and absolutely loves it. And also, I think he's an outside chance for making that Queensland side. He's been in the extended squad before, but with a few big weeks, he could find himself squeezing on the bench. So who knows how that's going to play out?
Yeah, where there's smoke, there's fire, man. And I can agree more. He's been having a stellar 4 weeks, and he's sort of taken over a bit more of that Tapine role, what he had last year, getting those bigger minutes. So just watch the space. He could overtake him as the number 1 mid from Canberra.
Yeah, true, man, true. Moving on, the Sunday other game out at Newcastle, Knights are taking on the Titans. This could be an absolute belter of a game. Newcastle, just hot and cold. They're coming off the bye, so they should be fresh. Adam Elliott back in the side, the big stink eye. Man, he's a class player. He was so good for them last year. Been out since round 1, which has been a shame, but any Elliott owners will be pleased to see him back in the mix, don't you think?
Yeah, 100%. There was rumours that he would have the starting 13 for the whole season. He's just had niggle after niggle for the first 10 weeks, and it's great to see him. He did play game 1, I believe, but just limited minutes. So hopefully it's a decent run out this week. And just put himself on fantasy coach's radar. There is meant to be a little bit of rain in this one because this matchup really interests me. One that stands out for me is Marzu. I've just got him as a smoky as a home run hit this week, just because he's matching up against Cam Pereira. We saw what Sivo did down that edge last week. He scored 3 tries, and Marzu is averaging 8 tackle busts a game. So he could be my smoky home run hit among the fullback position this week.
Mate, I really like that call. Marzu is just built like an absolute brick, you-know-what house. Huge fella, and I can just see him running amok over Camp Pereira this weekend. But that takes us on to our last game, mate. Manly hosting the Sharkies. I think the Sharkies are going to be on top here, surely.
Yeah, the record out in Brookvale isn't crash hot at all. They did win there last year, which I believe was the first time in about 14 or 15 years. But they are the far better side. The way the Seagulls are travelling, who knows? We did see them turn this not season around, but have a shock win against the Storm in Brookvale. But I'd put the Sharks and Storm on different levels at the moment. So I have to back in Sharks narrative on this one, mate.
Yeah, fair. Now, Any Nico Hines owners out there, should they be worried after he reported a pretty poor score last week's on Hines standards, of course?
Yeah, I'm not concerned at all, mate. I still have him rated as the best player in GDS. We know what he can do. He can ton it regularly. They just didn't play well as a side, and that isn't all on Hines. There's many different factors in that one, but I just don't put it down to him solely. I do think they'll bounce back this week, and just because of that performance, I wouldn't be surprised if he tons up again this week.
Oh, bit of bounce back factor. I like it. But, mate, I'm on the other side of the fence. I think Cleary has still got to be the best player in fantasy footy right now. So I'm sticking fat on Cleary in saying that. I'm lucky enough to have both in GDS. But if it was one or the other, I'd be on the Cleary train for sure.
Yeah, no, I can't argue with it, man. They're both decent. And if you got them on the side, you should be probably starting them every week.
100%, man. Well, moving on, JT, it's that time of week where we get to see your team, how it's looking. Very keen to see your team to beat. Now, I'll try and bring you in on screen here. Take it away, mate. Talk us through it.
So there hasn't been too many changes from last week. The ones that are still there from last week is Grant, Haas, Yo, Fafita, Hines, Cleary, Manu, Graham, Latrell, and Edwards.
Yep.
I think I'm going to flick Hosking for Frizzell this week. Just because he's coming off a bye, he is on the Origin radar as well, and his 4-game average is 58 points over his last 4 matches, which is the second best after Fafita over that span. So he's playing some great footy, and the Titans have led him the third most points all season outside of fantasy, just in real football as well. So almost 25 points a game. So he has been known to cross for a try, get a line break, whatever it might be. So he's just got that attacking upside that he might get a few more points in that area this week. Jack de Belin, he's another inclusion to my side this week, just because he is getting some massive minutes. Even for a starting prop last week, I wanted to have one look at him starting as a prop to see how that rotation worked. The Dragons bench hasn't changed at all this week, so I've got to back my team and put JDP into my side this week and just hope he still gets 70-plus minutes in that spot. And I did admit,
man, he's scoring well enough to justify displacing Murray. That's for sure. It's a bold call. Getting Murray out
the side. I've just been given chance after chance this season. Yes, he's had 180, but knowing me, knowing the luck of this game sort of thing, he's absolutely going to disown me from dropping him basically and knock out a.
Watch him turn up.
Exactly, mate. Exactly. So that wouldn't surprise me, but I'm taking a chance leaving me out the side just because the Bunnies are travelling so nicely. He might get extended rest against the Tigers if well in front leading up to Origin. So I just don't really like the matchup for a mid in that game.
No, very fair enough.
And going into my last inclusion is Marju. I touched on him before. He's just a tackle busting machine. The matchup is fantastic for him this week. He may be a late exclusion swap out if I do think it's going to rain. Looking at the forecast at the moment, it looks like about 40 or 50% chance of rain, which I do not like to take the wingers in that spot, but I can easily swap Miller in as I like his matchup as well, and I probably like a fullback better in that sort of game than a winger.
Yeah, nice, man. Nice one. Like bringing that in, big pod on the right sort of fixture. It's a big brain play, mate. So I can't fault what you're doing there. Really liking your halves combination as well. Obviously, 2 best players in the game right now. Nice plats of them too, man. That's a bit of a dynamic duo. I'm really liking that.
Yeah. It's, I don't know how much of my cap I've got. No, I've got 200k left in my cap, so I've still got a bit of wriggle room there as well. But I think, as we spoke about, I reckon Hines, you reckon Cleary. It's either one of them the best player in the game, and I've got to run with them both plats every week.
Yep, nicely done, man. Well, good to see your team of the week. I'll try and get mine sorted so we can bring it up next week. But mate, it's a shambles at the moment. I'm too embarrassed to bring it up on screen. So you're flying the flag.
No, you can have your turn next week, mate.
Sounds good. Alrighty, mate. It's that time of the show. Time for a little bit of start, sit, and show out. Shoot, shag, marry style game where we rattle off 3 players and someone else chooses their fate. So JT, I think we're looking at hookers and edges this week, aren't we, man?
Yeah, we didn't touch on them last week, so that's a great shout, man. What do you want me to hit you with? Do you want the hookers or the edges this week? I've got a few lined up either way.
I'll take the hookers.
You'll take the hookers? Okay. Well, I'll exclude Grant from this question just because he is easily, in my opinion, the best hooker in the game at the moment. But I am going to chuck Cook back in there. We didn't discuss that quickly earlier, just because he's been so up and down this year. Sorry.
Yeah.
And there is better players out in that position every week, I believe. So I will put Cook in there. I'll also put JMK, and I'll put Reece Robson as well in that bunch for you.
Yep, cool, man. So Cook, JMK, Reece Robson. Yep. So for me, I think JMK is just the right sort of player to have on your bench, but those other two guys do have such high ceilings. This time of year and looking at the bye schedule, I think I've got to go with starting Reece Robson, benching Damien Cook, and showing JMK the door. Hate doing that to my boy JMK. He's obviously the relative of Tigers' great Benji Marshall, so that one stings. But man, he's just not that sort of caliber player as Cookie and Robson, despite the streaky form.
Yeah, I would go with the same, mate. Especially this week with Robson up against the Dragons, might get a bit of room to run up the middle. And also the narrative that he was an old Dragon, likes to come back and put a good score against his old team. He may even outscore Grant this week, but I'm just going with the consistency of Grant this week. So, yeah, he's a close second for me.
Love that, man. If you've got a keeper, no reason to shake him. Alrighty, have you got one more for me, or are we going on to the edges?
Yeah, that was it for the hookers. For the edges, how about IPAP, Deefy, and Angus Crichton back in the fold?
Mate, I like the inclusion of Crichton here, I've got to say. We all know how good he can be, but there's just question marks around the minutes. I think Deefy, you got to go start with him. He's electric at the moment. He's just manhandling blokes, so can't go wrong there. I think I'm going to have to bring Crichton in on the bench.
Nice.
I think there's a big return, bit of narrative there. There's even talk about whether or not he makes that Origin extended squad or bench too, and he's committed to that. He said he's capable of doing that, so I'll believe it. And that means I'm showing my Tigers hero, IPAP, the door with a heavy heart, but has to be done. Mate.
Yeah, I'm a little bit surprised. Fair enough call and everything like that. From my point of view, I would like to see Angus start for 1 week before.
Yeah.
But that is on the spot question, isn't it? You've got to make a decision on the spot. But yeah, if I'm to put him in my starting side, for example, I just want to have one look at him, have a starting edge before I was to put him above IPAP in my rankings.
Yep. No, mate. Can't blame you there. Can't blame you. Which way would you? So who would you give the flick?
I'll give the flick to Crichton in the edge situation, just because for this week alone, from a dynasty play, I'd probably still do the same, just because we know IPAP's upside. He was the best edge forward in the game last year. Hopefully, he can get back to that sort of standard in the Tigers once the combinations start rolling out. But yeah, I think out of those three, Crichton will be showing the door for me.
Very true, man. Very true. Alrighty. Well, moving on, mate. It is that time of the show. Time for a bit of buy sell, where we open a pack live on stream. Now, who was it I made you sell last week?
Mitchell Moses. I turned out a silver of him, and I put him up on the trade market, and he lasted all of 13 to 14 minutes, and he was gone.
Far out, man. That must hurt. Well, this week, it's my turn, and I've actually lashed out here and got my hands on a 3-player unique pack. So we could be given some big guns the flick.
Let's see that graphic.
Of course, let's see what we got, mate. But
there we go.
The fate is in your hands here, well and truly.
I think I stitched you up well and truly last time, so I might take it a bit easier this time on you. We'll see.
Nah, mate. No rest for the wicked. Pardon me. But we've got 2 diamonds here and 1 plat. We'll start with the plat. Ooh, Xavier Coates.
Not a bad card.
Not bad. Which one? Left or right?
Oh, save middle for end.
Teague Wilton.
Oh,
Good line
yeah,
runner, but he's probably not in that upper tier echelon
yeah.
of back rowers in the
Not
game.
quite yet, but still a really good card to have.
This last one, who have we got? Bradman
Oh,
Best. Man, I'd say three pretty sort of mid-rangey players in their positions. Would you agree?
yes, I would. Yeah, Bradman Best has thankfully gone through injury free so far this season, and he's had some great games. He's very quick tackle busting, and he's got a great combo with Gagai. So he does have the upside as a player every week. I haven't started him yet, but I can see any narrative around him, and I wouldn't turn coaches away from him this year. Teague Wilton, I think
Yeah.
he was the second top scorer in each position last week. After he crossed for a try as well in that loss against the Dolphins. So he is, like you said, outside the big three, the big four, but he's in that next tier down in the ranks 6th to 10th somewhere. But he's still a
Yep.
decent option every week in Coates. Yes, he's an origin player. He is a winger. And I tend to shy away from wingers, even though he might get 4 tries, he still might only get 50 points. It's just how his stat line works. So, yeah, I would prefer a fullback in that position, but that is a great pack, getting 2 diamonds out of a 3-pack.
Mate, not bad, not bad. Well, you tell me, who's it going to be? Who's going on the market for 99 cents?
Well, I did get you to put a diamond on last time, and I will get you to do it again as you drew
You got it.
out of that one. But I think Bradman Best can go on the market this week, and I'll let you keep Teague.
Alrighty, mate. Very appreciative of that. Love your work. Could be a good one for the future. We know how explosive Bradman Best can be. Speaking of good ones for the future, we've just had a question from Liam, who wants to know when would be a good time to stash Pappy. Now, Liam, I'll assume you're talking about Lil Pappy here, Ryan Pappenhausen.
Yep.
Of course, he's out right now, which means his price could be suppressed on the transfer market. So it's actually probably not a bad time to pick him up. People will be trying to get rid of him because he's given no value to their side. But if you've got a bit of a narrative around him for the back end of the year, by all means, grab one, hold him, and plug him into your side when he's fit and ready.
Yeah.
JT, do you reckon that's a worthwhile
I couldn't
shout on the
agree
TN?
more, mate. I really couldn't. I've been seeing him on the cheap all season, and I think I've picked about 6 different Pappies across 4 different rarities throughout the season.
Oh,
so
nice.
I'm fully endorsing that narrative, and I believe he's still a player for the future and probably one of the best 3 winger fullbacks moving forward when fit.
That's wicked, bro. Great shout. Great shout. I might have to follow the advice there and go and get one myself. I might have a bronze, but I could do with a higher ranked Pappy. Wouldn't go astray.
Yeah, you do definitely find some cheap ones. You just got to be patient about it, eh?
Yeah, too right, man. Well, that does bring us to the end of our live show ahead of round 11. So, JT, thanks very much for joining us once again. I'm very keen to get a pack in your hands next week so we can stitch you up and make you pop another solid card on the transfer market for virtually no money.
No, looking forward to it, mate. Looking forward to it. Like, let's just hope, from my point of view, it's not a legend because I know that will be going on the market. That's for sure.
No doubt, man. No doubt. Alrighty, mate. Well, you enjoy the weekend of footy ahead. We'll leave it there. But to all those who tuned in along the way and got involved, thanks very much. We'll see you next week.
Catch you next week, guys.